With that, it's time for some royal tea now. Volume 2 of Harry and Meghan's docuseries was dropped this week, while the first 3 episodes only revealed some adorable unseen photographs of the Sussexes. While condemning the British tabloids, the second part takes aim at the palace and the increasingly racist coverage of Meghan Markle. The couple is being criticised by some for telling a supposed sob story, while some are lauding the couple for putting the spotlight back on the toxic media industry. Let's try and get in a sense of perspective from Richard Fitzwilliams, who is a royal commentator and joining me live from the UK right now. Richard, thank you so much for joining in on World 360. Now, after 6 episodes of Harry and Meghan, what are the key takeaways in your opinion, and do you think it lives up to the hype or not?
Well, the docuseries, yes, absolutely. The hype was extraordinary. We had something like 5 trailers and 2 3-hour sessions, you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something that's probably unprecedented. Linked to this, it must be emphasized, is money. It is estimated that Harry and Meghan received something in the order of $100 million in their contract with Netflix. So this extraordinary series, and one of the amazing things about it shows that they seem to photograph or video practically everything. And what we saw in the second part, undoubtedly it's very damaging to the royal family. According to Harry and Meghan, the palace press officers were in collusion with the press to make life extremely difficult for them. Part of this appears to, in their view, have been jealousy. Part of it also leads up to the fact where they had to step down as senior working members of the royal family, and there are attacks that Harry makes on his brother, which undoubtedly will deepen the very sad rift.
Right. You know, it's the timing that stands out, Richard, of this the release of the second volume. The royals united at Kate Middleton's carol concert after Harry and Meghan's Netflix claims. Kate has, in one of her Twitter posts, even referred to the concert as #Together at Christmas. How do you view the contrast of these two situations between the brothers this Christmas, and what will it mean going forward for Harry and William's relationship, even Harry's relationship with the palace?
Well, so far as the carols at Christmas concert was concerned, I think it was an ideal way for the royal family to spend yesterday evening, and there's no doubt that it was a beautiful occasion. But so far as the actual questions this raises are concerned, and the future of the brothers' relationship, I'm afraid, firstly, it's not likely that Harry and Meghan will have to answer to anyone for the allegations. I think the relationship between the brothers was bad before and is at rock bottom now. Essentially, Harry has accused William's office of briefing against him. That's extremely serious. It also talked in the Sandringham summit, which led to the Sussexes stepping down as senior working royals, of William screaming and shouting at him and Charles lying. Not pleasant, but very difficult to cope with when you are a royal family, an institution that requires a certain amount of dignity. You can't reply point by point. That's the only way you could take this down. There is an irony in what the Sussexes are doing. On the one hand, they say they want peace and love, and they found freedom in California. But this series was nothing short of revenge.
You know, and since you speak of revenge, there are many who are also asking if the docu-series are the whole truth or just their truth, and what are the questions that still remain unanswered?
I think it's a very important point to ask if the docu-series are true or their truth, because quite honestly, we don't know. I mean, there's a very serious allegation made where Harry says that he believes that Meghan miscarried because of stress and tension over a court case that was, or legal case that they were bringing against Associated Newspapers, the Mail on Sunday article. There's no question that there's a lot of bitterness here. We don't know whether it's the truth or their truth, simply because nothing is going to be challenged. What the Sussexes do, and do very successfully, is to control the narrative. So, in fact, if there are questions about whether what they say is true, you could read it perhaps in the papers or hear it on television or the news, but what you wouldn't do is see it in the actual series. And I think that it has to be emphasized that this docuseries was intended for America and the wider world. It wasn't intended for Britain, where their popularity is very low and they have a mutual loathing with the press. The facts are that a lot of it is very cruel. They make out that the royal family, in a sense, persecuted them, and Harry believes it was because they were jealous of Meghan's success. That, I would say, is something that will never be proved, probably because it isn't true.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Many thanks to you, Richard, for sharing your precious insights with us here at World 360. Now, what are the royals up to? Members of the UK royal family gathered at Westminster Abbey on Thursday for royal carols. The event was labelled as #Together at Christmas by Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, who was also the hostess for the royal concert. The annual Christmas carol concert now is in its second year. Kate posed for photographs with the young choir singers as well, and even gave them high fives. The Prince of Wales and their two older children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, joined in afterwards, as did King Charles, and Queen Consort Camilla also attended the royal event. This year's Royal Carols concert honoured the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away this year in September. Notably missing were the estranged Sussexes, Harry and Meghan. And CNN News 18's Sanjay Suri brings you more.
But together at Christmas was Princess Kate's hashtag for the carol service at Westminster Abbey, the royal spin, if you like. But of course, we could see who was not quite together. Only hours earlier, the same day, Harry and Meghan had their say. Harry had spoken of William shouting and screaming at him at a family get-together, and that cracked this image of William as some calm and aloof prince. Harry said more seriously that his father had been saying things that obviously were not true, so in effect publicly calling his father, the reigning King Charles III, a liar. We used to see huge crowds gathering and waving at Queen Elizabeth every time she would drive by. Charles faces a stony lack of enthusiasm. The carol service clearly was less about Christmas than a PR exercise to smother Harry and Meghan's complaints with the splendor of the palace, even almost an ad campaign for the palace. Harry and Meghan have lost out clearly, but the palace has been damaged as well, and we have seen, well, together at Christmas, how just everyone has lost in royalty through all this.